When I was in high school, two of my friends were severely restricting their diet to only eating a piece of bread and drinking water every day for over a year. One day, one of them collapsed and she was taken to the hospital where she was diagnosed with anemia. My other friend was also taken to the hospital and she was diagnosed with bowel dysfunction. However, none of the doctors diagnosed them to have an eating disorder. Although it pains me to say, this experience has given me the upper hand to talk to you about this issue. Plus, I did some extra research to help me understand better about eating disorder. I stress on this issue because there are many speculations saying that only women can develop an eating disorder, which is not necessarily true. According to a research done by Dr. James Hudson, out of 2,980 adults, 0.9% of women and 0.3% of men had anorexia nervosa, while 1.5% of women and 0.5% of men had bulimia nervosa, and 3.5% of women and 2% of men had binge eating disorder. This proves to say that men can also develop an eating disorder. Not only that, we live in a society where eating disorder is never the main focus, so we are never well educated about this issue. I've even heard people saying that you can't die from an eating disorder, which shows just how ignorant we are regarding this issue. But that doesn't mean this doesn't exist in our society. In fact, according to Minds Green Circle in 2012, there's an estimation of 4% of the Malaysian population that has eating disorder. And for every 10 to 20 females, one male will present with the same problem. Knowing all of this, I think it's important for us, not just as future doctors, but as human beings, to educate ourselves about eating disorder. Because we never know when any of our patients or our friends could develop this eating disorder. Which is why today, I would like to talk to you about the types of eating disorder, the causes of eating disorder, and the treatment required for eating disorder. So let's start by knowing the different types of eating disorder. According to J. Akern, there are three types of eating disorder. First is anorexia nervosa. Anorexia nervosa is characterized as someone who has an obsessive fear in gaining weight, refuses to maintain a healthy body weight, and have an unrealistic perception of their body image. Anorexics usually don't eat, but when they do, they will immediately vomit out their food, which is why they are severely underweight. Anorexia nervosa can have damaging health effects, which include multi-organ failure, brain damage, and infertility. The risk of death is the highest in this group of eating disorder. The second type of eating disorder is bulimia nervosa. Bulimia nervosa is characterized as repeated binge eating, followed by compulsory behaviors such as excessive exercise, forced vomiting, and extreme use of laxative or diuretics. If we were to compare bulimia nervosa and anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa is less severe, which is why they are not underweight. However, bulimia nervosa can also have damaging health effects, which includes severe dehydration, gastrointestinal problems, and heart disease due to electrolyte imbalance. The last type of eating disorder is binge eating. Binge eaters don't have any control over their eating habits. But unlike bulimia nervosa, they don't compensate their eating for exercise and vomiting, which is why they are obese. Because of this, they are at a greater risk to develop cardiovascular disease. And also, binge eaters have the lowest self-esteem, so they can easily develop anorexia nervosa or bulimia nervosa. As you can see, all three different types of eating disorder are physically different, but mentally they are all unhealthy because they're in constant battle with their weight. So now that we know the different types of eating disorder, let's find out the causes of eating disorder. According to Dr. Megan Jones, the causes of eating disorder can be divided into two factors. First is biological factors. In some individuals with eating disorder, there are certain chemicals in the brain that controls hunger, appetite, or digestion that seems to be unbalanced. However, further investigation is required. Furthermore, there are studies indicating that genetic factors play a significant role in the development of eating disorder, because eating disorder often run in families. So if we have any close family members that had an eating disorder, it's possible for us to develop one too. Next is social factors. this is the most important factors of them all. I believe in our society, there's a narrow definition to what beauty is, and it's a cultural norm for us to glorify men or women that has specific body type that we consider physically attractive. Let's take a look at this example. These are Disney characters, Belle from Beauty and the Beast and Aurora from Sleeping Beauty. Now, from this picture, I don't find anything abnormal at all. But if you take a closer look, do you realize the size of their waist is actually the same size as their neck, which is physically impossible in real life? So a company called BuzzFeed decided to redraw these characters to have more realistic body image. Now let's take a look. Now, what was your first reaction? My reaction was, wow, they look kind of big, which shows just how critical we are in the way we look at ourselves and that we always think skinnier is better. What about men? These are famous superhero characters, Thor and Captain America. They are both physically muscular and tall. When audience watch them on TV or during movies, they would think to themselves, wow, I want to look like them. And they start to obsess with the way they look, and they start to progress an eating disorder trying to achieve this particular look. So as you can see, eating disorder can affect anyone of any race, gender, or age. So let's move on to know what we can do to help patients with eating disorder. The main goals in treating eating disorder is to make sure patients get adequate nutrition. This is achieved by asking them to eat more regularly with healthy meals or snacks less than 3 to 4 hours apart. This is to help them maintain a healthy body weight, as according to Romito and K. Argus in 2014. The second required treatment is medication, such as antidepressant, antipsychotics, or mood stabilizers that helps patients to feel a little bit better about themselves and to overcome depression. The last required treatment is cognitive behavioral therapy. These therapy sessions help patients to change the way they feel about food. Instead of feeling guilty about eating, you need to feel that food is a necessity for them to live. And during sessions, they are given a diary. This diary helps them to write down about their eating habits and whether or not they binge or purge. This is to help identify what could have caused this problem and to resolve this problem by other means. In conclusion, eating disorder is a serious condition and it shouldn't be overlooked. Individuals with eating disorder are never taken seriously, which is why they are so embarrassed to talk about their problems. I hope that there are more awareness in our country about eating disorder because we obviously lack the knowledge. I also hope that by listening to today's speech, you've learned to have a little more compassion to those who are struggling with this issue. Thank you. Is there any question from the audience?
How can you differentiate anorexia nervosa with someone who is naturally skinny?
Okay, thank you. As I've said earlier, anorexia nervosa is extremely underweight, but there are people that are also skinny in real life. So actually, we can't really differentiate someone who is anorexia nervosa and someone who is naturally skinny. But some studies indicates that someone who has anorexia nervosa who is really severe have really yellow teeth because when they vomit, the gastric juice causes their teeth to turn yellow, and they will have puffy cheeks and also their breath will smell. Okay, that's all. Thank you.